Hello, my brothers and sisters. So, I feel led to tell my testimony again for those who don't know, and for those that do know. I'm coming from a place where I'm more healed. I don't sound so emotional and so angry. So, this one's going to go a little more in depth. I'm going to try to keep it very short though. So, I'm not going to go super into detail, but I'm going to go more into like the beginning of like why I went to Houston. So, in August 2021, I was listening to a prophet, and she said within the next 2 weeks, you are going to get a confirmation of where you need to move. So, I let it go over my head, and within a couple weeks, I was driving and I seen 3 letters that pointed out to me, biggest day, that's where I'm going to live. And it was 713. So I have no idea what this is. So I Google 713 and it says Houston, Texas. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is in Houston? Like there's so many like storms and stuff. Like I do not want to go to Houston. So I kept getting so many confirmations, but one of the biggest confirmation that was just crazy to me is I was sitting on my couch and this full address literally popped up in my mind, and I Googled it, and it was in Houston, Texas, and it was a ministry slash thrift store. And then literally like that day or like a few days later, this lady that I listened to was talking about confirmation about a thrift store, and I was like, oh my goodness. And then it was just so many confirmations. I could just go on and on about the confirmations I was getting, but of course I did not go because I do have children, and I was nervous, like as much as I wanted to go, I was kind of, I was scared because I have everything set in place where I live, and I'm like, I have nobody in Houston, like I don't know. And so I didn't go, and then all of a sudden I just kept getting this like I just kept thinking about the book of Jonah, and I'm like, Lord, I don't want to be a Jonah. Like, please just help me make a way to go there. And I know some things you just have to step out and just do it, and that's where faith comes in. Like, just do it. But I didn't do it, and so I don't know if this is a part of it or what. But and then in October, I still was talking about moving there. I just didn't move there yet. And so then in October I went under like this mental attack. Like it made me so filled with anxiety and panic attacks and fear that like I really like started losing myself. And so then November my bathroom flooded, and I ended up having to go to a hotel room from December to January 2022. And before I went to the hotel, I ended up getting a Zoom deliverance because the mental attack was just so much. And I was like, I need to know if this is a demon, like what is going on. So I did the Zoom deliverance, and I still was battling. I went to the hotel room for that month with my family, and I went through so much stuff with my whole bathroom situation. And so it was crazy because when I was in the hotel room, the food that they served, some of the stuff that they had, like their pastries, is from Houston, Texas. And so when I finally went home, I ended up seeing the lady who did the Zoom deliverance, and I got hands-on deliverance. And that's just a whole nother testimony alone. It was very crazy. But I didn't start my period, so I did tell her to pray for me. So she prayed for me, and I went home, and I ended up getting a pregnancy test. And sure enough, I'm pregnant. Again, this was this year, January 2022. And so I was working at this job I was not happy with. It was very stressful. And so I prayed, and the Lord had ended up giving me a new position. And so I went on orientation for 3 weeks, and the second to last day of my orientation, 2 minutes before I started clocking out, I started bleeding. So it was crazy because when I walked out of my job, it just happened to be raining, and it hasn't rained in so long, and it just started raining, and I was like, like, why is it raining? And so I got to my grandma's that morning, and I was just praying and praying and watching testimonies and praying for the Lord to stop my bleeding. It didn't stop, but it definitely slowed down. And so I talked to the doctor, and she wanted me to be seen. Mind you, I did get a prenatal ultrasound when I was 6 or 7 weeks pregnant, and my baby was growing perfect, was healthy, heartbeat was strong, everything was going so good. So when this happened to me, I was just like emotional wreck, like, what is going on? There's no way, this is no way. And so when I went to the doctors, my baby stopped growing and my baby had no heartbeat, and it was really hard for me to accept. So I was like, Lord, please just do a miracle, bring my baby back, show my family, show everyone how real you are in my life. Please, Lord, just bring my baby back. And so I'm just praying. And so I seen the doctor on Thursday. She wanted me to come back the next day. And so I went back the next day, and everything was still the same. And so I kind of felt like everyone was trying to force me to just hurry up and take those pills that help you contract so it could push the baby out. Because I guess it's not good to just have a dead baby inside of you or whatever. But I was like, no, I'm going to just wait this out over the weekend and see how it goes, because I'm gonna pass this naturally. So the weekend came and still nothing. So I was just praying, and then Monday morning I was like, God, give me peace about this. Whatever happened, just give me peace about it. So I went to the doctors on Monday. Everything was still the same. So I had peace about it. I wasn't just like crying hecka much like I was the last 2 times I went. So I took the pills, and I was at my grandma's house, and my grandma just wasn't in the best mood that day. So I ended up going home by myself with my kids, and um, yeah, so then I just, started bleeding, and then I noticed I was bleeding way too much. And so I called the emergency room. They told me to come in. So I went in, and I had seen the regular doctor, and she said that she's actually going to have the OB come in. So the OB came in, and she did an exam, and it was just like so much blood. And so after she was done with the exam, she was like, you could go home, or we could just do a DNC. And I was like, no, it's okay, I'll just go home. And so I was getting ready to go home, and the tech came in and said that the doctor wants me to walk before I leave. So I stood up, and all of a sudden, from right here to right here, my body just starts shutting down, and my life is like flashing before me. My ears start closing. Before I start like going down, I'm like, Mom, please have them bring me something to drink. And so the tech ends up coming in, and I'm like, I feel like the Lord was instructing me on how to lay, like kind of curl, like lay a certain way. And as I'm going down, the tech comes in, and I just hear them saying like I'm losing my color. And so I did drink some water, but they're like, you can't drink that much because you may have to go into surgery and all this stuff. So I was just like a little frustrated because I just felt like I just needed to drink something or eat something or something. So as I'm like, I feel like the Lord was really instructing me on how to lay, but I'm also praying. Like, I'm calling on Jesus, I'm praying, and I'm repenting, and I'm making sure I forgive everybody, because the Lord cannot forgive us if we cannot forgive others. And I'm just like having a conversation in my head with the Lord, like, Lord, how is this my time? Like, why is this happening? Like, I don't want my kids to be without me. And I'm just, all this stuff's going through my head. And then they start rushing in, and I guess I lost so much blood that I didn't have blood flowing. And so they had to put my head like literally upside down. They took my blood pressure. Come to find out, my blood pressure dropped to 46/24. And then I had to get a blood transfusion. And during all this is happening, the tech was next to me, and the tech happened to be my old coworker's husband. They love Jesus, and I just felt the Lord have me tell him to lay hands on me and pray for me 2 times, and he did. And when he did that, I don't know what happened, but there was just like this shift, like something arised in me. I don't know, it was very weird. And so then when they started doing the DNC, it was very, very, very uncomfortable. And I just was praying the whole time, and I kept my focus on the Lord, because that pain just was not fun. And just focusing on the Lord relieved my pain so much. And I just was like, I wasn't going to name my son Hezekiah for no reason, because I really believed I was going to have a boy, and I was going to name him Hezekiah, which means God is my strength. And so finally, everything was over, and I just felt, alive, and I wanted to eat. And so the tech just so happened to bring me French toast, and I was happy because I like the hospital's French toast. Every time I went into labor, I just loved the French toast. So I was so happy that I was able to eat, and I was able to eat French toast. And then I asked for my phone, and my phone had a missed call from Russia. So as all this was happening, I was getting a missed call from Russia. This was during the time of the war with Russia in Ukraine, I think that was. This happened in March 2022. And so right then and there, I just knew I was in spiritual war. Like, I was in a spiritual war for my life. And so I finally got to go home, and I just was having a lot of thoughts like, Lord, why? Like, why did this happen? Why did you take my baby? And just a bunch of stuff. And so many people I'm around and know right now are pregnant, and like sometimes I get sad, because I would be like 6 or 7 months pregnant right now. But everything happens for a reason. And when I lost my baby, I was probably like around 10, 11 weeks pregnant. So when I got home, I rested for about 2 to 3 days, and I decided I need to go on a trip. And so I was going to go see my sister to get away and just spend time with the Lord and get healed and stuff. But then I just felt in me like, you need to go to Houston. The Lord just saved you. He's been telling you to go to Houston for months. You need to go to Houston. So I got a rental, packed our bags. My little sister went with us, and we drove 26 hours to Houston, Texas. And when we got to Texas, it was a big shift. Like, it was just a shift. Like, I started praying, like I was on fire, like it was just crazy. So we got to Houston, and I just fell so in love with Houston. Like, for the most part, their food is amazing. I got my nails done. I haven't got my nails done in years. I got my lashes done. I met an amazing lash tech out there. I don't know her Instagram name, because I would definitely shout her out. And then on top of that, I was like, I came out here for the Lord, so I'm going to go to church. So I went to 2 different churches. The first one was good, but the second one, I met some amazing brothers and sisters. They were so amazing, and I just love them. They're like my family, even though I knew them for such a short period of time. And I went to the malls out there, and it was a good time. And then it was time to come back, and I realized I spent a lot of money, and I was like, I don't want to drive back. So I ended up getting 5 tickets. Yes, all 3 of my kids were full price. And then on top of that, me and my sister's tickets, thankful for somebody who helped me get a discount. Shout out to you if you watch this video. But yeah, so I had to pay for 5 tickets. And then on top of that, they were telling me I had to pay a couple $100s to leave the rental out there. So, you know, I'm kind of stressing, but I'm like, I got to get home. So it is what it is. And so we finally came back to California, and a couple days after I'm home, I go to my mailbox and I had a check in the mail from a school that I went to 2 years ago, and it paid for my rental. So praise the Lord. But anyway, so then going back to when I went through like that mental attack and the flood and stuff in my house, I took off work for a couple months, and I had went on disability. And when I went on disability, they only paid me one time for 3 days, and the rest of the time they did not pay me because they were under investigation because of whatever was going on. And so I tried to call them for months, and I could not get through to them. They always said, you reached the maximum amount of callers, please try again later. 4 months. Well, when I came back from Texas, I called them and it still happened. And then I finally got a hold of them. And the guy was like, you're going to receive the money in a couple days. Couple days passed, still didn't receive the money. And then I called again. It still said, you meet the maximum amount of callers. And then I just kept trying and finally got a hold of this lady. And she was like telling me what I need to do, and I did it, and then I got paid, and that money actually paid for my whole Texas trip. Yes, that money was technically mine, but all I could tell you is God's timing. God gets the glory. God is so amazing. Whatever you are going through, even if it doesn't make sense, even though it may feel like a life or death situation, do not give up on the Lord. Trust Him. Have faith. Have faith. Believe and call on the name of Jesus. Things are not always going to just be perfect in our life when we follow Jesus. But what the enemy does for evil, God always turns it around for good, and He will get the glory, you guys. So just get a relationship with the Lord and just trust Him, have faith, believe. I could just say that over and over again. And I hope this message really helps somebody and encourages somebody. Yeah, so I love you guys. I will be back when the Lord leads. Have a great day. Bye.